everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're happy. I hope you're feeling comfortable and peaceful today and all days. I am here today by myself without a guest. We have guests coming back next week. We've been on a little hiatus for the last 2 weeks. So I'm checking in with you to say hello, to send my love. This is the podcast where we talk about spiritually transformative experiences, such as near-death experiences, shared death experiences, spirit communication, and that sort of thing. So thank you for being here. There has been a little bit of a lull. People are traveling, but we do have some great guests coming up. So keep tuning in for more. In the meantime, I just wanted to come to you and speak to you about one of my favorite topics, which is manifestation. Now, I am somebody who believes strongly in the art of manifesting. However, I'm not entirely comfortable saying that without a doubt, this is the way it works because I don't know. I just know what works for me. And so that's how I'm approaching this. I do believe I do come at manifestation from a spiritual perspective. I don't even think you have to. I just got chills from spirit. So I'm actually going into a mediumship reading shortly. So it might be that. But anyway, spirit's already trying to communicate with me. So hopefully this will be partly channeled by a spirit. But what I wanted to tell you today is that you can create your reality. And sometimes you can create your reality for the worse, and sometimes you can create your reality for the better. I am not someone who's ever going to say everything that happens to you, you manifested. You manifested somebody dying. You manifested. I don't say that. I believe in free will as well. So I just am not comfortable making blanket statements when it comes to manifestation about this is exactly what's going on. This is why it works. I just know that it works for me. So whatever you want in this life, whatever you're struggling with, you can overcome. Whatever you want, you can create. And I wanted to just encourage people who feel like, why are things not happening the way that I want them to happen, as fast as I want them to happen? So I'm just going to kind of give you some of my own tips because I'm finding that these are working so amazingly well that I have chills about it, because it's really crazy how when you put your focus on something, you start to see it manifesting in your reality. It's really cool. Now, this has a lot to do, according to a lot of manifestation experts, that there is scientific evidence to back this up. I'm not a scientist. I can't speak to that. I just know that I believe it because I've watched it happen for me. I've watched it happen to others. And I just am not equipped to talk about metaphysics. I'm just not that kind of a thinker. And when I read it, it makes my head want to explode. Let me tell you, I come from a place, as those of you who've been here before know, I come from a place of super low self-esteem, lack, addiction, beautiful family. I have so much love in my life. I always have, and I'm so grateful for that. But I went through some very dark days where I did not love myself. I was just in a place of constant lack. I was always in fear, always in anxiety. And I just perpetuated more fear and more anxiety and more lack. When I started to understand the law of attraction, as they say, the law of assumption, the law of fits in there. So the law of attraction, I read The Secret years ago, like like when it first came out. And I remember thinking, this is so hokey. This is so corny. And I kind of still do think that just the way that it was written, if you have no sort of in-depth knowledge of what it really is talking about, it can come off as very sort of surface. I think it didn't necessarily dive deep. It just kind of said, you can have anything you want. Just imagine it. Just make a vision board. And all of a sudden you have a Lamborghini and a mansion and you're married to like Brad Pitt. And I think it was very simplistic. The thing is, a lot of those things are true. We can be one day financially unstable, and the next day we can anything can happen. Our business can take off. We can win the lottery. We can receive an inheritance. There's so many ways to receive abundance and money. And I just a few years ago started to manifest. Meaning, what does that mean? Writing in a journal, um, praying aloud, speaking aloud, meditating. And all of that sounds pretty simple, but what does that mean? So manifesting something doesn't just mean wishing for it or saying, I want to have this, because that implies that there's a lack there. So one of the things that I have learned about manifesting is about speaking things into existence, speaking them as if they already exist for you. Instead of saying, I want to have $1 million, you say, I'm so excited that I have $1 million. This isn't one of those trite things where you look in the mirror and you're like, I love you. You're beautiful. And all of a sudden you just feel it. So much of this comes from the feeling itself. We sort of need to feel it into reality, at least in my experience. So what I kind of think of it as in a weird way is brainwashing yourself. I've sort of been brainwashing myself in a way that's been very positive for me. Some might call it delusional. I don't, because I see that it works. So for example, I had negative dollars in my bank account and I called my landlord and said, this was years ago, I don't have any money. I don't have a job. I don't have money coming in. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's like, Shannon, I believe in you. I'm not worried about it. Pay me when you can. And I called up one of my friends, or not a friend, but someone I had met in a 12-step meeting. And I just was like, I'm so in fear right now. I'm having so much anxiety. I can't even sleep. And she's like, listen, I want you to write down all your fears and worries and put them in a God box into little pieces of paper and then pray and say, I don't know how this gets resolved. I'm trusting you. And when I say God, it could be the God of your understanding. Doesn't have to be the biblical God. God can be the universe. It can be anything higher than you. It's just something where you have to release control. And she's like, put it in a God box. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's not going to that's not going to pay my rent. So I wrote down, I am in fear. I don't have the money to pay the rent. I don't know how this is going to resolve itself. And then this has been going on a long, long time. And as an actor, this happens to us. We go through these periods where there's just no work. And what do we do? And we're trying, but we can't, especially living in LA, we can't keep up. And so I did this exercise anyway. And probably 2 days later, I got a phone call from a friend of an ex-boyfriend of mine who's like, hey, I work for a casting agency. We're looking for musicians. I know that you book music. So can you help me with this casting? And he said, and if you can help me with this, I'll take you out to lunch. And I said, you don't have to take me out to lunch. I just love doing this. He's like, you do? He said, well, we actually need some help at the door, at the audition door. And so he called me in, and the first day or two that I was there, one of the other casting assistants came up to me and said, listen, we're trying to do this thing for this client and nobody's doing it. And can you please just tweet about their product? And because I'm embarrassed to ask anyone, and can you just do this and say why you like their product and whatever, and make it creative. So I did that. The next few days later, she's like, well, they want to use you for this thing. And the thing is, it was a secret. She's like, I can't really tell you what it is. And I said, well, how much does it pay? She's like, it's maybe like $500. So I went, all right, fine, I'll do it. So I go on this quote unquote interview, and it turns out that it was actually it was a setup. It was actually a commercial. And the camera crew came to my gym and met me in there, and they did this whole like thing with me. It was all just like interview. And it turned out that I didn't realize it, but it was actually a national commercial. And I received $20,000 from that commercial. I did not audition. I just put up a tweet. That's all I did. So I went from total lack to saying, God, I don't know how this is going to get resolved, but I'm going to have to trust you. And not only did I get money, I got $20,000 out of thin air. And then I became a casting assistant working there as well. This kind of thing happens to me all the time. And I don't want to just say that I'm not trying to convince you that it works because it happened to me. I'm just so excited because I see it happening all the time, the synchronicities that I see when I manifest. There's something called birds before land where you set your intention and then you start to see signs that it's coming true because we don't get to choose when this happens. This is divine timing. This is up to the universe. It has to be in everyone's highest and best good for it to come to fruition. And but you start to see little clues, like little hints that it's happening. So um, just to kind of give you a little bit of tips, a little bit of tips on how you can have anything you want. A lot of you may already know this, but there's so many ways to do this. I don't say I do this every night, and I don't think anyone should get obsessed with manifesting anyway. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think you should be obsessing about something for, days upon days. The key is set your intention with certainty. I know that I have, $20,000. I'm so excited that I have $20,000. And what I do is I get into a meditative state and I listen to some uplifting music or even a guided manifestation meditation. And I just get in the state of of total trust, of going, this is so exciting. And then I envision, and I happen to have a very vivid imagination, which is why I think mediumship, I think that's because I was meant to be a medium, or maybe because I'm a medium. I have a very vivid imagination where I can see things like a movie in my mind. So that's clairvoyance. And I just happen to have very vivid dreams, and I'm sort of a very visual person. So not everybody may find it as easy, but to the best of your ability, as long as you're intending it, I imagine and in my mind exactly what I want to see. So I keep practicing seeing 300, like right now I'm manifesting. Well, I'm not going to tell you actually, because part of it is I think you shouldn't tell people what your manifestations are, because for many reasons. One, I think it's something that needs to be, I think if you tell somebody else, it can help, it can shake your confidence when someone goes, I mean, do you really think you can have that? Or if you say that you're manifesting something, then people kind of go, so has it happened yet? And then you start to go, it hasn't, it hasn't. So I kind of don't talk a lot about it to my friends about what exactly I'm manifesting. But anyway, I have this amount in my mind and I just picture it in my bank account. I keep seeing it there. I keep seeing it there over and over, like as if it's just every day. And then I sit there and I put myself in the state of, how does that feel? Oh, I feel so relieved. I feel so much lighter. I feel so free because I can do anything I want to. And somehow when I do this as a freelancer, as I said, money's up and down. I've gotten to the point now where I just know it's coming. Even doesn't matter what the bank account says. I just already know. And it always comes, even if it's the very last minute. The other thing is, so here's a way that you can practice. And this is something I did earlier this week. Practice imagining seeing something that you would never see normally. So I did what's called the ladder exercise, which is something that Neville Goddard, the manifesting guru of all time, who kind of conceptualized a lot of this. Picture a ladder, like, and then, so I told myself, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to see a ladder. I'm going to see a ladder. So the next day I work at a daycare part-time. I'm in the kitchen the next day. This just happened. And I'm with my little 5-year-old bestie. And she goes, Shannon, look, a ladder. I've never seen a ladder there. She points to this little like herb garden thing. And there is this tiny little, I think it's a little trellis, but it's tiny. And it looks just like a ladder. And I got chills. I was like, that is so crazy. I have seen that thing like 100 times. I've walked by it. I've never even thought about it. The fact that little kid pointed it out was so cool to me. And that's not, I mean, you might say, well, that's just a coincidence. The thing is, when it happens like every single day, and then you start to see things happening, and you start to see more and more synchronicities. It's really amazing. I said, I want to see purple butterfly today because I think purple butterflies, like, I don't even know that I've ever really seen one. So my mom and I are hiking, and all of a sudden this little cluster of like lavender colored, they're probably moths, but they're little butterflies, just started to collect around my feet. This was just the other day. I said, I want to see purple butterflies. There they were. So try it, because I think the point of the exercise is to show yourself that if this can work, what else can you manifest? So another trick I have is to, well, one of the things I do is I write things down on like pieces of paper. And I did this 2 years ago, and I've talked about it on this podcast, so I won't bore you with it, but but with all the details. But basically, I wrote down everything I wanted in my life. I think it was about a year and a half ago. Some of it I was like, there is absolutely this, nothing here looks likely, but I'm just going to write down what I want. And a year and a half later, I opened up the box because I had moved, and I'm like, opened up each one, and I was like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And this is what my life looks like now. So part of it is set it and forget it. Like I wrote this stuff down, forgot about it, and it still all came true. Yes, some of it is intention. Some of it is like, I'm not going to say that you're manifesting if you're like, oh, I'm going to lose 5 pounds and you lose 5 pounds. I mean, that's just force of will. That's just because you decided. But a lot of this is deciding that I get to be abundant. I get to have what I want. And, it's also a lot to do with how you look at yourself. It also helps. I think manifestation also helps us to sort of create a new self-image, a new self-concept. And a lot of the things that hold us back are these old stories we have. Like, oh, I'm not the person who gets to have this. So I'm always the person who's struggling financially. I'm always the person who gets cheated on or abandoned. So a lot of it is just putting that aside and going, nope, that story no longer exists. This is the new story. The new story is I am always chosen. The people in my life treat me with respect and kindness. I love myself. I am empowered and powerful, and not more powerful or better than anyone else, but empowered. And I can easily have what I want without struggle. And then just sort of let it go. The key is trust. And that's the hardest part, because we'll say, oh, wait, but like the second we start to see the 3D not complying, we're like, uh-oh, it's not working. And that's when we start to spiral down. So we have to be able to look at what's happening in the 3D and say, okay, doesn't look like it's going my way. But every time that happens, I say to myself, nope, it's happening behind the scenes. And every single time I've gotten my wish, I realize it was happening. It was happening in these ways I couldn't have predicted. There were things leading up to it that needed to happen first to get me set up to be in this place to receive. So I get really excited about it because I keep seeing it happening over and over. And a couple weeks ago, I just kept thinking about this one person, and I was like imagining what they were going to say to me. And I was like, and I actually said this to a friend of mine too. I said, this person is going to reach out to me on this day. And this is what that person is going to say to me, because I hadn't heard from this person in a long time. And it wasn't so much that I needed it, but I said, just for sort of like, I would appreciate it, but it wasn't something I was hung up on or really obsessing about. But I was like, it would be nice if this person would say this to me. And just the last few days, I kept saying, it's coming. I know it's coming. And this morning I woke up and said, it's going to be today. It's going to be today. And I know I'm going to receive this communication from this person. I went to yoga. I came out of yoga. I checked my phone. It was almost word for word what I had imagined this person saying. Now, I don't know if that was my mediumship stuff happening, my psychic abilities, if it was a premonition, but I definitely feel like I just kept saying, nope, this person's going to contact me on this day, and this is what the person's going to say. And sure enough, it happened. And then that was when my mind was blown. It wasn't even like so much excitement about what the person said, which was really kind and really sweet and really appreciated. It was and heartfelt, and it meant a lot to me, but that wasn't what I was like. This is literally, not only did I say it was going to happen, I also kept dreaming that it was going to happen. I dreamed for the last 3 nights in a row. I had the same dream over and over. This person is going to say this to me. So it's kind of hard sometimes, especially if you're, intuitive and psychic. You're like, did I manifest that or did I see it happening ahead of time? But I can tell you that there have been times where I was flat broke and had no money. And I just kept saying, okay, I'm envisioning this amount in my bank account. And it didn't just appear overnight. Sometimes it did, though. So I get really excited about that. And I really encourage you to stay in that positive mind frame and just remind yourself that you can have whatever you want. I know this. You can. Circumstances don't matter. Your current circumstances, it doesn't matter. Things change all the time. Nothing is impossible. Now, look, some things are impossible. If you want to manifest that you're going to like live to be 500, that's just not going to happen because that's not part of the universal plan for any of us. I mean, you could try and maybe someone will come up with some kind of like cryotherapy thing where they can freeze you in like 500 years. You'll wake up and you'll be fine and somehow like it'll be cool. But I just believe so strongly in this. I believe that it's about reminding yourself every day, telling yourself every day, and I don't mean like obsessively on repeat, but just when you feel moved. I walk around my house talking to myself. I've said this before. I love being single because I walk around my house and sometimes I'll just get up in the morning and I'll do this. I'll be like, I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to make money today. I'm going to like a total dork, but I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to get what I want. It's going to be great. Whether I'm brainwashing myself or not, I have to tell you that the last year, I don't feel depressed. I don't feel anxious. So I've actually trained my brain to just expect the positive. So a lot of it too is not the law of assumption has to do more with expectation. So it isn't I want this and therefore I'm going to have it. It's just I already have it. I'm getting it. It's mine. I don't even have to worry about it. Like whatever. And ever since I've been able to adopt that frame of mind, I just don't sweat things because I'm like, oh, that looks like it's not going my way, but I know it is. So I'm not worried about it. I'm in the flow of things. And I mean, I think I'm being very broad because I'm not a manifestation coach and I could do a topic on each little aspect of the concept of manifestation, but I just wanted to share my enthusiasm about it because especially in the last few weeks, I've started, excuse me, I'm hiccuping on top of not being able to get my words out. In the last few weeks, I'm starting to see all of the things that I've been manifesting the whole year. I'm starting to see all these things coming together in these ways where I'm like, this is exactly how I envisioned it. This is exactly how I sort of mapped it out. And a lot of it has nothing to do with me. It also involves like other people's actions and um, work opportunities and things like that, where suddenly I'm like, yeah, I see it now. I get it. I see how it's all coming full circle and how I'm interacting with the right people at the right time and I'm open to these opportunities. And that's the other thing about it. If you're not a spiritual person, although if you're not, you probably don't like this podcast or won't resonate with you. But even if you aren't, I think just the fact that you are laser focused on something, obviously it makes you more open to opportunity as it arises. You'll notice it more. Just like you could argue, well, you thought of a ladder, therefore you were just more tuned into ladders. I wasn't thinking about it at all. It's you said it, you forget it, you walk away. Yeah, maybe it is like if you want to buy an orange Subaru, which I drive, suddenly you're going to see them everywhere. I think that's just a little bit of, well, that I'm thinking about that thing a lot. So now I notice it when I see it. But manifestation feels a little bit different. It is that to a degree, but it's also putting yourself in that frame of mind to receive that thing so that when it does happen, you're more attuned to, oh, this is an opportunity, or this is being placed in front of me for a reason. And it's just amazing the synchronicity of everything. And I do believe strongly that that's part of our soul contract to a degree, meaning it has to do with a bunch of different things spiritually. It has to do with our purpose in this life. It has to do with our soul contract. It has to do with our spirit guides helping us along and wanting us to, they want the best for us. We have free will, so we can mess it all up if we want to. In fact, we do it all the time. We self-sabotage. They're not making that happen. We're making that happen. They're like, we want you to be in as high vibration as we are. We want you to see your full potential. We want you to know that you can have anything, but you have to get out of those limiting beliefs and um, those negative core beliefs. In fact, I've done the 12 step. I don't think I've done all the 12 steps. I think I went up to 10 before I felt like, yeah, I'm good. In the 12-step program, the fourth step is where we let go of a lot of limiting beliefs. And I feel like every human being should do the fourth step as an exercise. It helps us shed what no longer serves us. It helps us see what our patterns are. It helps us see where we're holding ourselves back by the stories we're telling ourselves and how we keep repeating the same patterns. And there's a word for it. You people who are psychology minded are going to be screaming it at the screen, but I just got so distracted by spirit. I lost my train of thought entirely. But what I was saying is that in psychology, there's this psychological phenomenon where we keep repeating the same patterns over and over because we keep thinking somehow that we can resolve it. And that when we resolve it, it'll be healed. It's a subconscious thing we do. Like in my case, it was like unavailable men. Well, if this time I can get the unavailable person to actually fall in love with me and change, that will, and I didn't think this consciously, but this is what I was doing without realizing it, was, oh, let's just keep going back for the person who can't love me because it's going to reinforce that I'm not lovable. But also somehow I feel like if I can convince this person or if they can change and suddenly they're in love with me, then I'm lovable and that it's all over. Like the nightmares, it's like those horror movies where it's like the nightmare's over, but it's never over because you just keep repeating it and perpetuating it and repeating it and perpetuating it. And the only way out of that is to change the neural pathways in your brain. I mean, that's not the only way, but you want to change that neural pathway in the brain that keeps telling you the same story over and over and over. And that applies to healing oneself physically, that applies to healing oneself emotionally. So part of manifestation is creating a new neural pathway that says, why can't I have that? Why? What do I believe? I can't have $1 million because I've never had it before. That doesn't make any sense. Like lots of people have millions of dollars who didn't have it before, who grew up poor. Why I can't have the relationship I want because people always leave me. Well, I'm pretty sure that, not everybody is going to leave you if you don't abandon yourself. So I hope that makes sense. I know that this is a little bit rambly, but I'm just very excited about it, as I said, because I'm seeing the potential and the possibility, and I'm seeing how my world and my life are expanding exponentially the more I practice this. So we can talk more about that down the line. If you're interested in it, let me know. But today I'm just going to give you the assignment of, I like to listen to some like dreamy sort of high vibe music and on YouTube, whatever, and just journal, just write down, get clear about what you want and be very specific, very specific. And in fact, one extra tip I'm going to give you is I would avoid writing down, I want this job at this company. I want to date this person. Because here's the thing, be careful what you ask for, because we don't know. What if we end up with that job and that job doesn't turn out to be what we thought it was going to be? What if we end up dating that person that we thought was our perfect person and it turns out that they're a psychopath or whatever? Like, that's not good for us. So here's your homework for today. Write down, okay, why do you want that job? You want more autonomy, you want more money, you want to be doing what you love or whatever. And write down those things. And if with the person that you think you want to be with, don't write down, I want to be with John or I want to be with Elaine. Just write down, okay, why do you want to be with John or Elaine? How does that person make you feel? Oh, well, when I'm with that person, they make me laugh. They make me feel safe. They make me feel heard. They make me feel seen. So when you're manifesting that love, you're not manifesting the person, you're manifesting the feeling and what you want your life to look like. And you can say, and again, here I am saying I want. No, you're going to say, I'm excited that I'm with this person because they make me feel the following way. So also be sure to say, I am with this person and this is how they make me feel. And this is how they show up for me. Because for all we know, the person that we have our eye on could be like somebody who can't be faithful or anything. So don't just write down their name, write down, and they are faithful to me. Make sure you include that. Because I have failed to do that in the past and ended up with like the one thing that I said I didn't want, I ended up was the deal breaker, you know? So this is how much money, specifics. And why do I want that money? Because I want to feel free. I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure. I want to travel. So it's not about the money. It's about what the money brings. It's not about the person. It's about the feeling of connection. It's not about the job. It's about you wanting to be able to do the work that brings you to life. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk, y'all. I live in the South now, so I say y'all now, unironically sometimes now, but always with a little bit of a wink. So I just want all of you to be your best selves. And I wish you peace, love, abundance, good health. You can manifest good health. You can manifest healing your own body. And really just remember that this is Earth School and this is important, but it also is all an illusion. And we have more power over our circumstances than we think. We have more power over our path, our journey than we think. And it's so common for human beings to get stuck, but you can get unstuck. And I know you can do it no matter what your circumstances, no matter what they are. They can often seem really overwhelming. And have faith that the power of your intention, the power of your mind, and raising your vibration, keeping your vibe high. I don't mean to say don't ever feel sad, don't feel mad, and don't avoid feelings that you deem negative. But as often as possible, meditate, exercise. I'm really big on that. I don't mean you have to like do CrossFit, which I did for years. All you have to do is take a walk in nature. Just feel, just absorb the good energy wherever you can. Listen to music that brings you up. Be around people that bring you up. Anything that's bringing you down, cut it out. Set a boundary. Toxic people, toxic situations. You got this. I know you do. This is so corny to say, but let me know, please, in the comments below how you are manifesting, what you have manifested. I would love to hear manifestation success stories. I would like to hear your thoughts on manifestation. So please chime in. I would love to hear what you have to say. I mean it. I'm not, I mean, I genuinely want to read all of your comments and see what your thoughts are. And I love to hear how things come together for you as well. Lots of love, and I'll see you back here soon.